Hi everyone, this is Saturday and it is ruled by Saturn. This is Artemis, Alchemist, Astrologer, and Tarot Reader. And Saturday, as you can hear, the Saturn in Saturday is the focus of this day. And it's a little bit of a paradox because I think most of us, by the time we get to Saturday, we want to have fun, we want to relax, we want to enjoy ourselves. But Saturn brings this energy of duty and responsibility. And so there's this feeling for a lot of us on Saturdays is if we've left anything incomplete, we have this kind of duty bound of we have to get it done and then we can enjoy our Saturday and our weekend. So Saturn rules this material world in terms of, playing by the rules, how to be a responsible adult in our lives. And this can feel like a burden, as you can imagine. And it comes on a Saturday. What the heck? But as probably many of you have experienced, that Saturdays is often a time when we are running around taking care of errands that didn't get done or need to get done before we can feel like we can finally chill because it's Saturday. And I just want you to notice I've created a simple altar for this tarot reading, and we've got the East, which is the element of air, rules the East. And so we have the incense. The incense corresponds to Saturn, which is sage. And so it's a great, if you've got any kind of sage and you want to sage your house or yourself, it's a really good thing to do today on Saturday because you will get that extra oomph from Saturn to support that action. Then we move to the south where we have the lighted candle that represents fire. And we've got on the other side, the north side, I'm going to leave the west side for the end. On the north side is the earth element. I have a crystal. It's actually from Oroville. For any of you that know about Oroville, I lived there for 2 years with my family. And so we have the crystal, which is a representation of the magnificent crystal that's in the Mantra Mandir. If you've ever get a chance to go to India and you want to meditate and go to a magnificent, it's one of the world's treasures. I think it's actually been designated one of the world's treasures is the Mantra Mandir in Oroville. And then we're going to get to the west, and the west has my sacred waters. I have the lead in the water, so that's the really, again, lead corresponds to Saturn, and my spagyric that I made, which is again made from the sage. So I'm going to take a dropper full under the tongue, get my energy centered more and more into the Saturn energy. And for those of you who've never heard of this word, spagyric, it's an ancient alchemical, medicinal, magic formula. And one of these days I'll get more in depth of what exactly is a spagyric. But it does line you up and bring healing powers and extra forces, magic forces for Saturn today because of the sage correspondence. And from the tarot point of view, it's represented by the world. Also, I want you to, if you notice this, we have the yellow square, and that is a tattva symbol for the earth element. Saturn is represented by earth. And then I usually put some kind of jewelry or crystal, and in this case, the corresponding one is hematite. Any black stone actually will be in correspondence with Saturn. And also it's a good day to wear some black. It will also bring in that support to take care of yourself in terms of getting the duties, responsibilities done, and for protection. This bracelet is a hematite, and I'm actually wearing one for today. So hematite is very good for protection, and Saturn is the planet for protection. So again, I'm just going to kind of recap how we're going to do this reading on Saturday. If you were called to find me and you found me on a Saturday, what I generally do is the next step is I'm going to divide the piles, or I'll do it right now actually. I'm going to divide the piles into the 4 elements, and then what you will do is think about use your intuition and feel into which element is good for you today. So I'm going to put the world there because and if you can see this card, it's an amazing card. It is the material world. It's finding success and completion of how to manage our lives in the material world. And also, of course, to do that, one has to have found one's way in, wow, 2 cards have fallen out. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I'm just getting the cards ready for Saturn, and I'm just going to kind of fill them in so that you can start to look at the 4 piles and start to feel what attracts you, what you're curious about, what you want to learn about. And so we're going to start with the earth element. I think I'm going to put fire next, which is represented by the red triangle. Then we have the earth element, which is the blue circle. And finally, we will have the water element. Now take a breath and feel which element is calling you. Is it the yellow square, which represents earth forces, or the red triangle, which is the red forces of fire, or is it air, the blue circle, or is it the silver crescent moon representing water? So just take a pause and see which one is the element that you want to explore today on Saturn's Day, on Saturday. So those of you who chose the earth element to find guidance, to just see what's up, to learn about the tarot in terms of Saturn and the earth element for you today. So this is the guidance. I'm going to pull 4 cards. And let's take a look. So what we have here is the 5 of Pentacles, and it's a struggling card. It's like, as you can see in the picture, it's the feeling of being kind of poor and disabled and suffering outside of the church. And so there's a lot of worry about finances. So if you found yourself here on a Saturday and you were attracted to the earth element, you may be feeling like you're out in the cold. Like it's like, you know, there's really a struggle around one's material world. It could be the money, finances, all of those things. And so what I'm going to suggest here, because this can be turned around, is we're going to pull another card to see how to look at this situation and how to resolve it. And we get the 6 of Swords. And so this is an interesting way to resolve this feeling of being out in the cold, impoverished, suffering from the lack in one's life on a material level. And what the 6 of Swords is reminding us is we can escape. We can leave this behind and find better land. And the way to do that is to use one's mental capacity. So the Swords has to do with the air and one's mental resources. So my suggestion here would be to really set out a plan. You really start to envision, if you don't have one yet, or you need to refresh it, or you need to just ground yourself into using your mental capacity, your resources, and figure out a goal, and then really break it down into tiny, tiny steps. The simplest step you can imagine. Even Martha Beck, I love it. What does she call it? She calls it like mouse steps or something to that, or turtle steps maybe. And so you find something that if somebody asked you to do this, maybe it's just turning on the computer and opening a file of how am I going to reach my goal. Okay, so there's two steps here. So there's the first, to use your mind and really think about what it is that your goal is around taking care of your material resources, and you really give yourself that time, that focus. Maybe it's half an hour to think about it in depth, or if you've already done this, just review your goals and your plan. Then look at your plan and just start with the tiniest step imaginable and go from there, and then set out your plan. So that's my suggestion, how to deal with this if you are finding yourself feeling worried or impoverished or out in the cold. Now, the next card around this is it's interesting, it's the Hangman. And so the Hangman is to give yourself a buffer, okay? So once you've done that task of how you're going to find yourself in a boat like the Six of Swords and sailing to better lands or better life, you're going to take a break, okay? So you're going to give yourself, so after that tiny step, okay, and remember, it's supposed to be super easy, so you haven't spent all your psychic energy on that action. You're going to rest, and you're going to use that sort of inner resource that you have and it's going to come from another realm, okay? So the Hangman has this access to energies that you do not directly with your mind can figure out, okay? So you're going to first use your material world and your mental capacity, and then you're going to pause. And you're going to allow the magic and other realms to support you in resolving this material world issue. Now we come to the Seven of Swords. And it's interesting that we are seeing swords twice now in the reading. And the Seven of Swords is something is working behind you. Something behind your back is stealing mental energy. It could be actually distractions in your life. It could be just misconduct of people around you that is draining you. So be aware of that. I'm going to pull another card, how to resolve this. Okay, so we've got upside down. I'm going to turn it over for this type of resolution. And we've got the King of Pentacles. So this is a leadership card around resources, how to get things done. It also brings up the whole protection element of Saturn. And there is a sense of dignity and rulership of the King of Pentacles. So I think it's just to remind you, if you don't tap into the King of Pentacles energy easily, to find somebody that you trust, that can guide you, that has this capacity of understanding how the world works, which is really the Saturn way of looking or having that transition or consciousness of how to become the ruler of the world in its situations. So find yourself a guide who embodies that, or tap into that side of yourself to kind of anchor and ground, so that no distractions or people taking advantage of you or any of those type of things will happen. And then we get to the Two of Pentacles. It's interesting that we're really dealing with the earth element, and look at all these pentacles and kind of mind, air, how that interplays in this reading. So the Two of Pentacles is this juggling of all those tasks and all the things that have to get done. And since this is Saturday, there is that kind of, okay, I'm capable of doing it. I mean, she's on the tightrope. She isn't falling off. She's up there, she's doing her thing, and she's managing the two pentacles here. And in your life, you'll be managing multiple tasks, and this is going to take care of things. So just a quick overview again. We had the Five of Pentacles, this feeling of being out there in an impoverished, out in the cold. And the solution to this is to figure out your goal, review your goals, and then find a plan that really makes sense, and then start with the tiniest of actions. Then you're going to pause, you're going to allow the other realms and forces to support you and to bring in unseen resources that you can't identify immediately. And then you're going to stop this distractions or people taking advantage of the situation by having a guide or yourself who has that capacity of leadership around how things work. And then you're going to juggle. Okay, you're going to juggle all these tasks, but you're going to make it, and everything is going to work out very well because you now have the consciousness of the Saturn energy. Things that you can do today to support you is to wear something black, to sage your house or yourself, or if you create altars, you can sage your altar. And add a little sage to your food today. If you've got some, you can just sprinkle in and connect more and more to the Saturn energy to support you. Okay, I hope this is helpful. Many, many blessings from Artemis. And we will move to the next element. So for those of you who chose the red triangle, the fire element, I'm going to see what it is that you will learn, will guide you, will be a prophecy for you around today, which is Saturday, ruled by Saturn. Okay, so we have the Magician here. It's upside down. So there's some resistance to really taking in your capacity to manifest. And the Magician has the capacity to manifest good or bad. So what this means is you've got to really start to observe your thoughts and your emotions. And because wherever your attention is going is what you're going to manifest today as this Saturday with the Saturn energy. So be conscious of your thoughts today. And make sure that if you are feeling quite negative, or there's a negative thing that happens, that you turn it around quite quickly and you replace that with a positive spin, let's say, on what you're feeling, what you're thinking about today, so that you can use this power that's here around the Magician. It was upside down, so maybe I just needed to remind you of your capacity to manifest today. And it's a fire. You were attracted to the fire energy. The Magician can really use that kind of alchemical fire, which is to do with emotions, with your passions, with love. So, in terms of manifesting today, a really cool day. Tap into your passions and your fire, and it should be quite exciting. Now we've got the 9, the Hermit. The Hermit means oftentimes, and this is, today it'll be kind of fun, you're going to do it your way, okay? You have your own ideas how you want to do the day. It's probably good for you to follow that and to recognize that if you found me today on a Saturday and you chose the fire element, this is something for you to think about is, okay, do something that really only you want to do in your own way, in your own time, and go do that solo thing. And I think you'll be quite rewarded. Now, again, turned upside down, so I'm going to turn it around so we can study it. And this is the Pentacle, the Knight of Pentacles. So there's a little resistance around this. But it just means that today your finances are fine. You've been steady as, the knight and taking care of your resources. and it's fine. Everything's fine. So just know that if there are some concerns or whatever, they're not founded today. You have done your work. You've been steady as the Knight of Pentacles can be. And at the end, this is fun. It's upside down. So I'm just, again, I think sometimes when I see these cards upside down, it's just to remind you, because maybe you're not in touch, that this is the Four of Wands and it's a celebration card. So today, be sure to celebrate with someone you love. Acknowledge that deep emotional connection you have with that person. And, you know, it could be just a really yummy meal. It could be just a nice conversation. Call someone up that you feel really close to and intimate with. And just share that nice time. And probably if you came to me and you found the fire element, and this is because of the Knight of Pentacles, you have taken care of all your business, and so you can celebrate on Saturday, which is what most of us really want to do on a Saturday. And you can, with the Magician, manifest something really fun. And maybe you took some time for yourself to really do what you like to do in your own way. And so you're ready by the end of the day to just really have some fun and rejoice in some intimacy with someone that you love. Okay, that's completes our fire element on Saturday for celebrating and using the force of Saturn. Okay, so we're on to the air element. So for those of you who chose the blue circle, here we go. We're going to see what guidance, what inspiration, what it is that you can learn and take in today. For those of you who found me on a Saturday and are curious. So we've got the Four of Cups, and I'm going to turn this around. Again, whenever I see these upside down cards, I see that possibly there's a resistance or a kind of hiccup in terms of connecting to the meaning of the cards. So if that resonates with you, just recognize that the card generally still means what it means. There just might be a bit of a veil in terms of understanding it. So the Four of Cups, I mean, it's Saturday. And there's this contemplative, wishful thinking about something really magnificent. But it's also calling attention to, and again, this is Saturn, which is a earth element. And so you want to be reminded here of the things that you need or to pay attention to that are on the ground, that exist already. And at the same time, you can dream and manifest and imagine something in addition that could be super sparkly and has your attention. But don't forget the sort of duties. And generally, because it's the cups, it's going to be something around emotional needs. Maybe it's others that are calling your attention and responsibilities. So you can't neglect what is already there that is in your life on an emotional level in terms of duty and responsibilities, because it's Saturday, and as we know already, Saturn rules the duty and responsibilities before we can have the fun of Saturday. At the same time, it is totally fine, and if you don't have some kind of dream or wish about something, it's also okay to have that too. And so it's really a balance of taking care of what you have right now on an emotional level, and then to dream and imagine what it is that you would like to bring into your life. And it's interesting again, so we have an upside down pentacles, and maybe this is really where that dreaming is going to lead you to think about today on Saturday. Because the Ace of Pentacles is that inspirational resource in terms of creativity and what could be manifested on the material level. So this is exciting. So if you are wanting to attract some kind of new resource, maybe it's a creative project, maybe it's just money, then it's in your capacity right now today on Saturn to put some manifesting energy around what that could be. I would suggest, if you are resonating with this, is to, and so we've talked about in other videos about the letting go, but it's a very similar process if you would like to manifest. So write out what it is on the material world that you would like to see happen. And then you can do one of three things. You can burn it. My suggestion is to use a big like spaghetti pot and put the papers in there, rip it up and burn it. Or if you have a fireplace, you can burn the wishes there, your intentions, or you could put them into a body of water like a toilet and some other body of water that feels respectful. Or lastly, you could bury it. Maybe that makes more sense because today is Saturn, now that I think about it. It would be, and probably the optimal way is to put the paper into the garden, bury it in the garden, or put it into a potted plant. And then we have the yummy Nine of Cups, which is kind of the gourmand. So it's a little bit of, on Saturday, that you could indulge a little bit, whether that feels right, with a nice dessert or a glass of wine or something yummy that makes you just feel super good. So make sure today, on Saturday, after you've taken care of some of those emotional commitments, to be a little bit of a gourmand and find yourself something yummy to do or to digest, and it makes you feel good on the emotional level. So that should be the attraction here. And lastly, we've got this Two of Pentacles. So it's just a reminder of, okay, there are these tasks that need to be taken care of, and it can feel like a pain in the ass because it's Saturday and we want to just have fun. But it's a good idea to take care of the business that's at hand so that you can put a little bit of energy into that imaginative manifesting and reward yourself. Okay, so for those of you who chose the water element, which is represented by this silver crescent moon, and in a way, Saturn is the earth element, so the water element represents a kind of opposite way of channeling that energy. Oh my goodness. So this is the Saturn hour. So that is kind of magical. We've got the Saturn day, and this reading is actually happening at the Saturn hour. So I have a timer on my phone that reminds me every day about the hour of the day. So this is an interesting thing to know. So as if you found this video on a Saturday, I already gave the explanation of Saturdays brings in the Saturn forces, and then the day and night is also subdivided by the planets. So it's a really interesting thing. You can look up planetary hours and you will find what time of the day is the Saturn hour. And so you can pull in the Saturn energy on any day because it rotates through the day, all the different visible planets, let's say. So that is a little bit of synchronicity that the people who chose the water element are inviting a double Saturn Earth energy. And here we go. So I'm going to turn around the first card, which is the Eight of Cups. And so again, we're on the Saturn hour with this kind of sense that of responsibilities, what we need to take care of, our duties before we can have the full enjoyment of a Saturday. And for those of you who chose the crescent moon and the water element, we have the Eight of Cups. And this is the need to leave things behind, to leave things that are emotionally charged, that don't serve us any longer, and to just really Forget about them. They are in the past. They are not relevant to you right now. And it's something for you to consider today on Saturday at the Saturn hour, is to think about what this new journey will be, what it will be like for you to leave that emotional baggage behind. And the upside down is maybe you're not ready for that, but it's time. So any of you who came here on a Saturday at the Saturn hour when this reading happened, it's a time to let go of the emotional baggage, even though it was upside down and there's some resistance to that or lack of clarity. And again, we've got the 7 of Cups. It was upside down, so maybe you don't feel entitled to do this. Imagine what you would really, really want. Okay, so you're leaving behind the emotional baggage, but what would you be seeking? What are you walking towards? Where is this journey going to take you? What is it that you can imagine that would really fulfill you on an emotional level? Okay, so oftentimes our emotional level is what propels us to find the material things, the earth element in our world, in our environment, in our society today. Okay, so today, just take some time, maybe with a journal, and imagine what you could bring into your life right now. Okay, so we're going to move from that imaginative quality of really thinking and emotionally putting some attention into what you would like to bring into your life. And we move to the 7 of Wands. And the 7 of Wands is this, I'm on the high ground. Many people are arguing with me about what it is I should put my passions towards, but I know what I need to do, and I'm going to argue my point, and I'm going to go for it. So just recognize if this resonates with you, of like, hey, I really am going to do this in a way that makes sense to me, and maybe you don't agree, but I am on the high ground and I know my shit. Okay? So that's the energy today, is if anybody's arguing about what it is that they think you should be doing, you know that you got this and you can just argue your points and you are quite correct about them. And again, I'm going to turn the card over because maybe there's a little bit of like, I'm not ready for this. But we've got this 6, the Lovers. And it's this is for those of you who found the water element. The Lovers is definitely all water and emotional and intimacy. And so if you've got a partner and it's a time to really be intimate and to celebrate and to deeply connect with this other that's in your life. If you don't have a lover, then it's, it could be just someone that you feel really close to, or it could be a pet, it could be your sweet dog or cat, or, just pour out that love to someone, to, the being in your life. It could be a plant even, just remember to gush and allow the flow of that divine love and passion to pour out of you today. So this is the recommendations. This is kind of the insights and guidance that I see from the cards on a Saturday, if you chose the water element and the half silver crescent moon. Many, many blessings. This is Artemis, and I want you to have a splendid Saturday and hope this was useful and informative and brings you some insights and joy.